Greetings, true believers. It's your old pal Spider-Man. Good morning, cadre. We gotta do a little something different today. As many of you know from the Shaving Cadre forum, we've got a newer member of the cadre, at least, but one of our good friends, actually a couple of good friends, Bob Beginish and Tony August West, recently joined the cadre. Thanks, guys, for coming over. But Tony brought up something in a thread about something that he does for post-shave. So I'm going to try that out, and we will get to that when we get to it. But we're going to go ahead and use, this is a sample jar that I've got of Mystic Water Leather and Smoke. And we're going to use our TSC member brush. This is the Luca Brasi shape handle, and because of my color scheme that I've got on it, I call mine the Count Luca Brasi. It's a synthetic blood knot. And yeah, we're gonna see how well this works. Got this soap in a trade with Dave, DM Shaver from Kansas City. Guess the scent didn't agree with him, but Mystic Water is one of my favorite soaps, so I was always happy to add more to my den, and this is actually one that I didn't have, surprisingly enough, but it's a very, very good scent. So when he got it, it was just in a, I think he just received a puck, didn't get the tub, so he smashed it into this container. It's a little bit smaller in surface area than the Mystic Water tub, so it's a little bit more difficult to lather in this, but we'll give it a go. Getting kind of a little bit of a late start on my video today. It's Saturday, so it's kind of a lazy day anyways, but trimmed the sides of my hair, re-dyed my purple locks, because it had been a while since I touched it up and the roots were starting to grow out, so I kind of touched that up a bit. And we're going to take a break and drink out of my Shaving Cadre mug. One of my many Shaving Cadre mugs, which you can pick up at the Zazzle store if you're interested. I love them. You can get them in two different sizes. This is the bigger 15-ounce size, which for me is just perfect. I think the smaller one is a 12-ounce, but the 15-ounce just works well. Pretty much a any brush for any purpose kind of guy, but I think for some reason the Mystic Water is a little bit harder to lather with a synthetic than it is with a badger or a boar. don't know. As you can see, I'm still getting some good thick lather from it. It just took a little bit longer to get there than usual. All right, so back to the Mercury 34C and the dreadful Parker Premium Blade. Luckily, the month is almost over, but since I'm using it and the shaves haven't been as comfortable as they could be, that's one of the reasons I decided to try Tony's new technique for post shave. So what it is he takes a towel and soaks it in cold water. Then when he's done with his shave, wrings it out, gets most of the water out, but the washcloth should still be nice and cold. And then he applies witch hazel to it, and then applies it to his face like you would a hot towel at the beginning of a shave, if you're into that sort of thing. I've tried the hot towel thing a couple times, never really thought it was worth the effort. It's good in a pinch if you didn't shower or don't have a good pre-shave. You're trying to build up some moisture in your skin right beforehand. Like I said, it's good in a pinch, but I never really got into it as far as being a part of my routine. So I've got a washcloth sitting in a tub of water right now, and just to make sure it was super cold, got some ice cubes in there, so when I pull it out, it's gonna be about as cold as it can get, which is exactly what you want on a chilly February morning. But we're just gonna test it out, and it might be something really good for those hot summer mornings. So he said that he was hoping some of the cadre would try it out and maybe put their creative minds together and come up with a name for the technique. So the first thing that I thought of was, if you're doing the hot towel before your shave, there's not really a name for that necessarily, except for either a hot towel treatment, or I would just say you're getting a hot towel shave. And so obviously I thought of, well, this is a cold towel, so it's got to be something involving a cold towel. And the goal of it is to kind of refresh your skin, repair it, heal it. So I just thought of cold towel soother. You want to soothe some of the effects of possibly getting a rough shave, helping to close up some little nicks or weepers. You're just wanting to soothe your face. So I thought of cold towel soother, so see if anybody comes up with anything different. Definitely this dry air wants to dry out my lather, so I'm finding I gotta get some more moisture into the brush for every pass. Which, when it's nice and humid, I don't have that problem. I feel like the blade is not as horrible today. Kind of seems to have kind of mellowed out a little bit. But as I found with the first one, the first Parker that I used, that also happened, but it didn't last very long. That leveling out only seemed to last for a few shaves before it started to feel different again. Which for me, normally, once I reach that stage where it's kind of leveled out, and like that stage of a blade just kind of stays for a while. Normally when I use a blade and it's obviously it's going to be its sharpest when you first use it, but sometimes blades that are super sharp are also more rough, so it might not be the smoothest shave. So sometimes the smoothness of a blade actually comes into after a few shaves, which some people said, well, how can a blade get better with age? Well, it's not getting any sharper, but it is getting smoother. And so that's what I like, is when a blade can still maintain its sharpness, maybe not as sharp as it was for the first few shaves, but will maintain some smoothness for the duration. And when I can get a month or more out of a blade, again, Shaving Cadre mugs, you can get them in all white, you can get them with black inside, or you can get a bunch of different colors. I like the green. Okay, so now we've got our cold towel and our witch hazel. So we're gonna pull this out. I'm gonna wring it out. Get everything, all the water that I can out of it. Still nice and cold. And then we're gonna liberally apply the witch hazel, which witch hazel's cheap, so not too worried about it. It wasn't really as cold as I thought it was going to be. And your face does kind of cool off, or rather warm up the washcloth fairly quickly. I suppose if I had not wrung it out quite as much, then more of the cold water would have been retained in there, and probably would have taken a little bit longer to warm up. But it did feel really good. And my face feels really smooth. Actually really like that. Tony, good job. I like the technique. Especially like on a hot morning, or a morning that you kind of have a little bit of a rough shave. That's a really good soother, and a nice finish to a shave. So we've already got the witch hazel done. I'm going to use one of my Avon bottles, the Excalibur. So these are Avon Apothecary bottles. These originally held spicy aftershave. So these bottles came in 3 different colors. The brown ones only had spicy aftershave. The yellowish greenish ones had a lemon velvet friction lotion, which we haven't really figured out exactly what that means, but I think it's more of like a, it can be used as an aftershave. It feels almost just like an aftershave, but I think it's more of just like a body splash. Like after your shower, just splash a little bit on your body, rub it in. I don't think it's meant to be like a massaging lotion. But so there's that. And then the other one is blue, and that one held mouthwash. So if you want to use these to put your Avon or put any aftershave in, really, you have to stick with well, you don't have to, but the brown ones and the yellow ones have this reducer in them, which is real nice. It pops right off, so filling these is real easy, but then it's got the little reducer hole. The problem with the blue ones is they don't have this lip on it for this to snap into, and they don't come with a reducer. So the mouthwash ones don't have the reducer, so the blue ones really aren't as effective for aftershave. If you really want a blue one, I would say just, cover up the top with your thumb and then pour it out, and you can control the flow with your thumb rather than using the reducer. But I've transferred all of my Avon into these same type of bottles. So I just bought a bunch of the old spicy bottles, just because these I think are much more practical than the regular Avon bottles that are in different shapes and arrangements, boats and cars and animals and whatnot. They made over 300 different shapes of Avon bottles. And some of them are convenient, some of them aren't. But for uniformity and for ease, I love these apothecary bottles. I like the way they look. And so all of my aftershave is decanted, or all of my Avon scents are decanted into these. And then I've got overflow that I just keep in jars that I refill these with as needed. So the Excalibur, I'm kind of going through, I did a review of the Pashana aftershave. And the Excalibur is similar. It's similar, but it's different. It's the same wheelhouse. It just doesn't smell exactly the same, but very similar. So the more I'm getting into my Avons again, I don't think anything is as close to Pashana as I initially thought. I initially just did some bottle sniffs, and they smelled pretty close, but once I get them on and feel them, they do smell different. But definitely the same wheelhouse. So that's kind of what I was getting at. But this is a really good scent. I think my nose has changed because initially I didn't really care for like the Tribute and the Excalibur, the Windjammer. They just seem more cologne-y. And I'm liking them more now. So I guess my tastes have changed a little bit. But I'm kind of going through the different Avons and seeing if maybe something does remind me a little bit more of Pashana. Yeah, so that's the shave for today. And thanks, Tony, for the suggestion on the cold towel soother. Really enjoyed it. Probably use that again sometime. I don't think it'd be a part of my regular routine just because I'm lazy and I don't really want to go to the effort to put that together, just like doing the hot towel. But it was enjoyable. It was something different to do, and I enjoyed it, so thanks. And we'll see y'all on the Shaving Cadre forum. I'm Spider, and we'll see you later. Bye.